We welcome you to the Carver Hawkeye Arena here in Iowa City. Tonight it's the 1997 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Team Final. Let's get you right to the action. Rotation number 1, the California Golden Bears are on the floor. This is Oleg Kosiak, a 5'5" sophomore from Kiev, Ukraine.
Kosiak was a bronze medalist in the Olympics this last summer in Atlanta for Ukraine. He and his teammate, Yevgeny Zhedevshevsky, have added a really powerful 1-2 punch to the Cal Bears. They have already gotten off to a terrific start on floor. Kosiak is the only Olympic medalist who's competing in today's competition. Watch the extension and the beautiful power as he cranks these flares right up to the handstand. The men's floor exercise routine lasts between 50 and 70 seconds. You need to show a move like that. That's a planche. Some type of strength move needs to be in that exercise. So far, very clean. We're ready now for his final tumbling pass. Cal is so strong here. What an impressive team.
Oleg Kosiak, a strong routine for him.
Gets congratulations from Barry Weiner, the head coach over at Cal.
All right, let's move to the pommel horse. This is Oklahoma's Casey Bryan, the senior from North Salt Lake City, Utah.
Casey is an outstanding gymnast. He was second in the all-around yesterday to Blaine Wilson. He had struggled with injuries. He's a big boy, as you can see, and he's had some shoulder problems. And yet he's very smooth for being such a large and bulky gymnast. He's so light in his movements, and his technique is impeccable. Oklahoma has gotten off to a terrific start here on the pommel horse, and this is the one that's the most difficult to start on. This is a pressure-packed competition. There's a lot of nerves, and the pommel horse is one of those events where you can be swinging beautifully, and before you know it, you're standing on the ground. Beautiful exercise. Great set. All the routines for Oklahoma were outstanding on the pommel horse.
Casey Bryan had 15 first-place finishes this year, 3 all-around wins. He is a key performer.
He's so precise in all of his movements, and we'll talk about this as the show goes on, but one of the trademarks of the Oklahoma program is clean execution, and I think that's going to be a very important factor in who wins today's team championship. Nice up to the handstand and very cleanly off the end.
Let's now go to the rings. Here is Iowa's Peter Masucci, a 6'1" senior from Matawan, New Jersey.
Iowa is an impressive ring team. They've had several high scores already. This is their final performer. Remember, you can have 6 athletes perform, and you count your 4 best scores. Now, Masucci has not normally been one of their better performers. He scores normally in the low 9s. But as we will talk about this as the show goes on, they're playing a little team strategy, and that's coming into play in today's team championship.
Casey Bryan, a 9.775 on the pommel horse.
A little shaky in that handstand, but once again, they've already had several outstanding performances. Watch this combination through to the dismount. He's crooked. He made it.
All right, some say this will be the finest gymnastics meet in the United States this year, and let's hope they're right. Hi again, everybody. Along with Bart Connor, I'm Chris Marlowe. Well, we know one thing for sure, Bart. There's going to be a new NCAA champion this year in men's gymnastics. Ohio State failing to qualify for tonight's final by 5/100ths of a point. What happened to the Buckeyes?
That was such a shocker. They had an undefeated season. They were doing so well, but they were uncharacteristically shaky in the prelims. I think they thought they were going to go through to the finals and have a chance to defend. They made several mistakes, and so today they're sitting on the sidelines, and they're watching 3 other teams go for that title.
As we've said, 3 teams remaining: California, Oklahoma, and Iowa. How would you handicap the field?
Well, these are 3 dramatically different teams. First of all, Cal is a very innovative and creative team, one of the most stylish teams I've seen in a long time. And they're led by this interesting Ukrainian connection. There is Kosiak and Jedovchevsky. Now, we'll talk more about what they bring to this team, but they make this team take it from being a good team to an outstanding team. Now, Oklahoma is very smooth, and as we'll talk about during this show, they're very precise, and that will be important into who wins the team championship today. Iowa is a powerhouse team, and of course, they're at home, and they're motivated with that. So just about any one of these three teams can win.
All right, the team championship is heating up. We'll come back. Rotation number 2. Don't go away. We're back at the Carver Hawkeye Arena, the 1997 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Team Final. Chris Marlowe, Bart Connor, the event format. 6 teams qualified, but only 3 made it to the event final tonight. Scores do not carry over, which is good. 6 gymnasts per team. The top 4 scores count, and 6 rotations. Let's take a look now at the men's team standings, the Nike leaderboard. Cal, after 1 rotation, with a slight lead over Iowa and Oklahoma. Rotation number 2, let's pick up Oklahoma's senior Casey Bryant.
Oklahoma had an outstanding start on the pommel horse, which is a very difficult event to start on. Cal is the leader. They were spectacular on the floor, and Iowa, as expected, was strong on the rings. But Cal just had a fall over on pommel horse, so this team battle is heating up already just in the 2nd rotation.
Come on now, Case. Go, Case. You got it, buddy. Friday.
Oklahoma coach Greg Buick in his 14th season. We do have him mic'd. We'll be listening to him all night.
They won this championship back in 1991 when Greg Buick was the head coach at Oklahoma. Now, this is the most difficult event for Casey. He's had lots of shoulder trouble. In fact, he's even had shoulder surgery. And he's very loose. It's interesting. He looks muscle-bound, and yet his shoulders are very loose and limber. And he has a tendency for his shoulders to dislocate. And you can imagine when you're working the rings, that's not what you want to be worried about.
There you go.
Well, he is a physical therapy major, so he'll have someone to work on later in life.
Very solid here. He only scored a 9.2 in yesterday's preliminaries. It wasn't his best effort. Today, he's looking much better.
Tremendous international experience. He's a veteran of 2 Pan American Games teams for the United States.
Hang at home. Yeah,
Boy, that's the best I've ever seen him perform on rings, and you can see his teammates are loving it. Oklahoma has really looked inspired here this weekend. They know what they're here to do. They're very clean, they're very poised, and of all the teams here, I think probably their execution is the best. And at this level of competition, that's what we're focusing on. And you want to talk about execution, you talk about stuck landings like that. Boy, that was great.
So a good performance by Casey Bryant. Let's go over to the floor. Iowa's Chris Camasholi. He's a 5'4" junior from Haddonfield, New Jersey.
He was an All-American last year on the still rings. That's one of his best events. Oh, that's a major error. He went for a very difficult move, the laid-out double-back somersault. That's a serious deduction. And again, he's off. This is very interesting because before the meet, we were talking to Coach Tom Dunn of Iowa. And he said, floor is the event where we need to improve from last year's championships. This team is better, but obviously that was an uncharacteristic mistake.
Casey Bryant recorded a 9.7 for his rings routine.
Much higher than the 9.2 the day before, so Oklahoma doing very well over there. Okay, now it was a good finish, but as you mentioned a minute ago, there are 6 gymnasts performing on each event for each team. You have to count the top 4 scores, so you can drop a mistake or a low score if you have to. His first tumbling pass was this laid-out double somersault. It looked like the takeoff was good. He was very high, but as you'll see here, certainly very short a rotation I think that caught him way by surprise.
Why do you come up short in rotation?
Well, it looked like he took his takeoff straight up rather than having to lay it back. That's a very difficult takeoff position and technically a tough mount. The dismount was very clean.
Let's move to the pommel horse. Here is Cal's Josh Birkelbaugh, 5'5" junior from Elk Grove, California.
And boy, can this guy swing pommel horse. He scored as high as 9.85. I mentioned earlier that Cal is such an innovative and creative team. They're very stylish. Let's see what he comes up with here. Difficult opening sequence.
Iowa's Kamasholi, a 9.0 on the floor.
This exercise is smooth. It has plenty of difficulty. Boy, this team is so deep. We talked about the Ukrainian connection, but they were a great team before those guys showed up, and they're almost unbeatable with the depth they have now.
One of Cal's top all-arounders since his freshman season, Josh Birkelbaugh. Talking with his coach, Barry Weiner.
He really is a gifted athlete on all the events. He's very talented. The dismount, he pirouettes up through the handstand very cleanly. That's going to get a big score.
All right. There's a timeout on the floor. We're coming back. We'll have more of the 1997 NCAA Men's Gymnastic Team Finals. Stay with us. Back at Carver Hawkeye Arena. This is the junior from Roslyn Heights, New York, Daniel Fink. He's a ring specialist from Oklahoma.
Now, he placed 6th in the all-around competition here, but certainly the highlight for him and the highlight for Oklahoma was his 9.875. Now, you can see here 9.1, 9.45. Those are the two low scores at this moment. So, obviously, Fink will score higher, and they'll drop the 9.1 out. They'll have to count the 9.4 unless they get one more score that's higher than that. That's the team strategy.
He's been in the top 3 in every competition this year except one. He had a 9.875 at the NCAA Regional, so this kid is good.
Watch the position in that move. That's called the inverted iron cross.
Will help him a lot for tomorrow night, too. All these judges see him.
Been very impressed with the precision with they work. Very smooth, solid.
A pumped up Daniel Fink. Let's tuck in the score of Josh Birkelbaugh from Cal, 9.775. You predicted a good score, Birkelbaugh.
Let's take a look at this position here as he goes up to the handstand. Very clean, locked out arms. That's one of the things the judges are looking for. They require the gymnast to do strength moves like this. Now, this is an inverted iron cross, and it's important that his shoulders are down level with the rings. And, of course, there's no better way to punctuate a great performance than a perfect landing. That's going to get a big score. He had a 9.875 yesterday. We'll see what they come up with today.
So a big boost for Daniel Fink. 9.85 for Daniel Fink. So the junior scores big. Let's go over to the floor exercise. Here is Brian Hamilton from Iowa, 5'8", 175-pound freshman.
When Tom Dunn was talking about improving the caliber of his floor team, he was talking about bringing on a guy like this. Where do you see this routine? Brian Hamilton scored a 9.875 in yesterday's prelims, and he is a powerhouse. Watch for the bounding, tumbling moves from one somersault directly to the next. The judges require front tumbling passes like this, and that bounding sequence gives him bonus points. They also require back tumbling passes. Here's back tumbling. Oh, just one little step there on the finish. It'll get a good score, though, because he had a lot of bonus points earlier in the routine.
So the freshman in the spotlight here at home for Iowa.
This tumbling pass here is the dismount. It's a double full. It's not one of the more difficult tumbling passes, so he really was planning on sticking that landing, but he got his bonus points from some of the earlier bounding tumbling sequences.
9.85 for Hamilton on floor, so a terrific score for the youngster. Let's move back to California on the pommel horse. Here is Andrew Mason. He's got a career best of 9.85 in this event, so he's capable of putting up a big number.
Let's talk about the rules here for a minute. If you do a base routine and you fulfill all the requirements, you have a 9.5 as a minimum. Then if you do some bonus elements, you can score as much as 5/10 of bonus points to shoot all the way up to the perfect 10. Now, that's one of the great things about this Cal team. They do really hard routines. In many cases, they're doing routines that have a start value of higher than a perfect 10. That's how challenging they are. That's how innovative this team is. Smooth swing. Those are required elements, those scissors. He's going to like that score. This dismount, he's going to go from circles and crank it up, straddle up to a handstand and pirouette off. He was hoping to pirouette off onto the other side, but there should be no deduction for that particular dismount.
Good job, bro. Good job.
So Andrew Mason getting some congratulations from his teammates. He receives a 9.7. Good enough?
Let's go, Riggs.
It's a good team there.
All right. We're coming back to Carver Hawkeye Arena. Rotation 3 is next. Chris Marlowe, Bart Connor back at the Carver Hawkeye Arena after 2 rotations. California with a slim lead on Oklahoma. Iowa is third. Let's move to the rings. California's Andrew Mason. A couple of scores they'd like to throw out if possible.
That's right. Remember, there are 6 performers on the event. They count only their 4 highest scores. This is a good event, but it's not the best event for Cal. Their best events come up later on, and the parallel bars and the high bar in particular. They'll need a strong performance here because Iowa's doing very well, as is Oklahoma. There's that inverted iron cross. It's important that he's down low into the rings. And anytime you do a combination of strength elements where you swing between them and freeze it in a hold position, you get some bonus points back from the judges. Boy, his technique is great. Really solid, precise handstand positions. Good job.
So Andrew Mason, the senior from Scottsdale, Arizona. Let's go back and look at that inverted cross one more time.
His high score on this event is 9.65. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another one of those today. Now, he's a little bit high. His shoulders need to be down in there. By the time he actually got down into the proper position, he didn't hold it long enough. This is the Maltese cross. That's a good combination. Can't afford too many hops in this competition here. It's close.
He draws a 9.6 for his routine. Let's move to the floor. Oklahoma's Jeremy Killen. A lot of Oklahoma fans here at Carver Hawkeye Arena tonight.
Yeah, and they're very vocal. Jeremy is outstanding on this event. He's very clean. Look at the power. It's important to note the gymnasts need to have the explosive power, but they always have to be in control and do nice combinations like that front tumbling, bounding sequence, which will earn him bonus points.
This is one of his specialties. He won the floor exercise the first 6 matches of the year. So he's in his element.
Jeremy Killen and Casey Bryant are the real 1-2 punch for the Oklahoma Sooners. Look at that. Nice landing. It was here on the floor where they clinched their berth in today's finals. Yesterday in the preliminaries, they rocked floor, the highest score of the day. And with performances like that, they're going to get a great score here as well. Take a look at the power and the precision in this tumbling pass. It was a move invented by Kurt Thomas, the former American great. He does it in a laid-out position, and he'll earn several bonus points for doing that combination. The second pass, this is one of those bounding sequences. 3 front flips in a row. 2 of them have twists in them, and he earns bonus points back from the judges as well. It's a very tricky technical pass. The last pass, look at the form and precision on the landing. That's why Oklahoma is doing so well. They're really clean. That's their trademark.
9.850 for the star Jeremy Killen. Greg Ephart is up on the pommel horse for Iowa.
Boy, this guy can really swing this pommel horse. Now take a look at their scores. They've been in the mid-9s. They have a 9.4 and a 9.6 that they'd like to drop out. And this is the guy who's going to bounce those low scores out. Wait till you see him do this routine.
4th in the NCAA last year. He had a 9.738 on the pommel.
He has a very unorthodox style. His head is up. He's looking out farther than most gymnasts do. Most of them look straight down. But this thing is packed with difficulty. I mean, this is a world-class pommel horse routine. He's very quick. Notice how aggressive he's. Oh, he hit his legs, but he kept going and didn't break form.
The 5'7" senior from Wheaton, Illinois, cheered on by the home crowd. How much does that pump you up?
Well, the thing about pommel horse that's really tricky is you need to be aggressive, but you need to be also in control. So all those people yelling for you sometimes can throw you off. It's not necessarily an advantage. At the end here, he cranked his shins into that pommel, and believe me, that doesn't feel too good. But he never broke form, so he'll have just a slight deduction there. Iowa's having a great meet so far.
9.8 for Greg Gebhardt. Let's move to the rings. Oleg Kosiak. Kosiak, one of the Ukrainian twosome. What a marvelous performer.
He's very physically strong, and that's the key to getting a good score on rings these days. Several years ago, if you did interesting swing elements, you could get a good score. But these days, you have to have the powerhouse strength moves like this. Look at this press to a handstand. There's the inverted iron cross. Very nice position and held.
He's had a career best of 9.850 on the rings.
His arms are locked out. Look at this combination. 2 double backflips within the rings, and he freezes it in a handstand afterward. That is huge. So he has the combination of the strength as well as the big swing move. That's going to get a gigantic score.
Once again, a bronze medalist for the Ukraine in Atlanta. Cal humming at the moment. We'll come back. We'll have more of the 1997 men's gymnastics team final. Oleg Kosiak, a 9.8 on the still rings. And let's move to Casey Bryant on the floor. Oklahoma. Part of that 1-2 punch Bart Connor talking about.
Casey is very explosive, and he has a very risky mount he's going to do, what they call an Arabian double front. It's a blind landing. Let's see how he can handle it.
Come on. Set it in.
Here's the takeoff. Oh, yeah, control.
That's Oklahoma coach Greg Buick. You hear his voice. We have him.
Nice. Nice.
You hear some nices. That's good.
We talked about his shoulder flexibility.
Nice.
Big, strong athlete. Yeah, he can press all the way up there through the move they call a mana, and then press through to a handstand on fingertips.
And you talked about his shoulder problems. Looks like most of those have cleared up.
He has potential for a huge score here. He had a 9.75 in yesterday's preliminary competition. One of the other performers from Oklahoma, Andy Howard, made a mistake 2 performances earlier, and so they're going to need a big score here from Casey Bryant. Here's the landing.
Bam.
Yes!
Yeah, man. Awesome.
What's difficult about this move is he's doing an Arabian double front. Notice he's not going to see the floor until his feet are down planted on it. It's very difficult to plan that landing. Look at the flexibility and the strain as he holds his body completely over his head and then presses back through to the handstand. They're going to like that score.
9.85, the score for Casey Bryant. So Brian scores big. Let's go back to the pommel horse. Iowa's Todd Strata. He's a 5'6" freshman from Alpharetta, Georgia.
So impressed with the level of pommel horse work in this entire competition. He has scored a 9.825 on this event. This is where he shines. His form is so clean and his body line is so tight. That's impressive to the judges.
Are freshmen normally fairly loose in a competition like this?
No, and on a pommel horse, this is just like gut-wrenching for a freshman to have to step up and deliver a performance like that. And look at him, he's pretty cool. No problem, coach. The best part about this, he had just enough difficulty to get a good score, but he was so perfect in his execution. That's going to be a key today.
9.8 for Strata, as Iowa with another good score.
Halfway done, guys. All right, guys, keep these guys up for high bar. Come on now, guys. Get ready, high bar.
Here we go to the rings now. Yevgeny Zherevchevsky. Once again, the score 9.8 for Todd Strata. And here is Yevgeny.
Zherevchevsky is very, very strong in the upper body, and he has some nice strength sequences in this routine as well. You can see their scores from 9.8 through down to a 9.35. So if he scores higher than that 9.35, the 9.35 will bounce out, and obviously they'll move up in the standings. So this is a critical routine. There's a lot of strategy going on here because you need the stars to deliver performances. But really, in many cases, it's that third and fourth score that's going to determine who will win the team championship today. Look at this position. Way down into the rings. Nicely done. The judges required the gymnast to do a swing to a handstand like that in the forward motion. Also a swing to a handstand from the backward swing, which he just completed there. Fought for the landing, but couldn't hold on.
Well, certainly one of the biggest names in collegiate gymnastics, certainly the longest name in collegiate gymnastics.
Barely fits all the way across his back.
A former member of the Ukrainian junior national team. He takes a low 5.
The precision in all of his handstands were very precise and clean. The landing is nice here. It looked like he had it. He was just a little short of rotation, and his shoulders fell forward and couldn't hang on. That'll be 1/10 of a point deduction.
We're going to give you his score when we return. Yes, you're watching ESPN, the 1997 NCAA Championships. Welcome back to the Division I Men's Gymnastics Championships. We told you we would give you Yevgeny Zherevchevsky's score, a 9.775 on the rings. Welcome back, everybody. Chris Marlowe, Bart Connor. Team competition very close right now. Some outstanding performances. But last night, the individual all-around champion was crowned. And the favorite going in was a big favorite, Bart.
Well, it certainly was. Everybody thought Blaine Wilson, who was 10th in the all-around at last summer's Olympic Games, would win. And boy, did he deliver right from the start. Right from the start, it was clear that Blaine Wilson had the focus and the intensity to win the NCAA all-around title. This vault scored a 9.85, nearly perfect.
A surprise performer in the all-around competition, Illinois freshman Travis Romagnoli.
Now, he's originally from the Canadian national team. Competes now for the University of Illinois. He was strong on the floor, but had a rather uninspired performance here on the pommel horse, scored only a 9.35, and that pulled him down in the standings. We'll see more from him.
In rotation 5, Ohio State's Drew Durbin made his move on the horse.
And he is so technically precise and strong on the pommel horse. That's why he's the two-time national champion. And, of course, he has been teammates of Blaine Wilson's all the way back till their high school days.
Oklahoma's star Casey Bryant was 10th after 2 rotations.
And with routines like this, he moved all the way up to 2nd in the all-around. Big finish for Casey Bryant.
But in the end, it was all Blaine Wilson.
Wilson, with dismounts like this, ended up winning the all-around by nearly a full point. That's a huge margin in any competition.
Blaine Wilson defending his title. He was happy with his individual honor, but as we found out, disappointed with his team's performance.
My heart's killing me right now, but, you know, we gave it our best shot. We didn't quite make it in, but, I mean, there's nothing more I can say. You know, we gave it our best shot.
You have to love a kid like Blaine Wilson, not only an outstanding performer, but this is a kid that has a lot of character.
He certainly does, and this weekend he was awarded what we call the Heisman Trophy of gymnastics, and that, of course, is the Nissen Award, and there were several impressive nominees. Blaine Wilson won that award, and a lot of people feel he was a sentimental favorite because he turned down some lucrative professional opportunities after the Olympics to come back and compete for Ohio State and keep his eligibility. So I'm sure that was one of the big factors in him winning.
Yeah, and you have one of those Nissen Awards, don't you?
Yeah, it's nice to have.
All right, we're coming back, rotation 4, right after this. Back at the men's gymnastics team final, California has led all the way. They continue with a slight margin over Oklahoma, and Iowa remains in 3rd. Here comes the emotional leader of Iowa. His name is Tyler Vogt. He's 5'8", from Jacksonville, Florida. In the prelims, he missed his routine. He scored just a 7.3. He was 48 out of 48 performers. He could be a key.
He had 2 falls yesterday, and it was a travesty. This has been a weak event for Iowa. They made some lineup changes, but there's no question they need a strong performance from him here. Twice his hands slipped yesterday on these complicated twisting moves. Oh! Now he's going for a very aggressive release move. This young man was coached by Ron Gallimore down in Tallahassee, Florida. Ron, former Olympian. He's an immensely talented kid, but as you can see in that replay, he's so powerful. I think he just overjuiced that. That's what happens in meets like this team final. The deduction is a ½ a point for falling. He gets 30 seconds to get back up and continue his exercise from where he fell. He's doing it again. Oh, that's the one he wanted. Oh, again. What a shock. Yesterday he fell twice, today twice. This is the one that counts. The position on the first release move was perfect. He caught right where he wanted to be. The second release move just pushed back a little bit too far. This is a disaster for Iowa. This is not their best event anyway. They needed a great routine here because Cal is over there on vault, and Cal is nailing all of their vaults. Oklahoma is looking terrific over on the parallel bars. He'll finish his exercise, but this is going to be a horrible score. Now keep in mind, they get 6 gymnasts. They count only the 4 best scores, so they can drop this score. Certainly they will, but they're going to need more pressure on the other athletes to deliver great performances now.
Bart mentioned that Cal doing well on the vault. Let's go over there. Here is Trent Wells. Before we get to Trent Wells, let's look at David Cruz, who popped a good vault. This is on tape.
The first 2 vaulters from Cal had 9 6s, and then Cruz delivered this vault with a terrific landing. He's been so overshadowed by the Ukrainians here. He gets a 9.775 for this vault, and boy, look at the landing. That's the kind of difficulty, and that's the kind of performance we're seeing from Cal all day.
And that was a career best for David Cruz. So David Cruz coming through in the clutch as we now will watch Trent Wells. He's a 5'4" senior from Kaiser, Oregon.
This is another gymnast that has been somewhat overshadowed, but wait till you see what he can do. We'll see him later on the parallel bars and the high bar. He has some original skills. Look at the power. Oh, my goodness. Perfectly nailed that landing. It's so difficult to nail that vault. Cal has just taken a hold and started to run away with this. So aggressive down the runway, but it's so difficult to take all that forward momentum and stop it cold, and that's what he did. Once again, he's not going to see the floor until right as his feet land on it. I don't think I've ever seen that done better.
Tyler Vogt of Iowa received an 8.2 as we wait for the score on Wells. Wells 9.850 on the vault. So Trent Wells nails one. And here is Oklahoma's Jeremy Killen on the parallel bars.
This is a very good event for Oklahoma. In the prelims, the parallel bars, high bar, and floor exercise were their last 3 events, and they were so solid that clinched their spot in today's finals. And another great landing.
We've been seeing some very impressive routines, and the landings have been top-notch.
The dismount is a piked double-back somersault, and Jeremy is known for such clean precision in his technique. And boy, the form was great and the landing just outstanding. That's going to be a big score.
A 9.7 for Killen. Let's go back to the high bar. And Travis Rosen of Iowa, 5'11" junior from Eugene, Oregon. Once again, he's following Tyler Vogt, who destructed. But keep in mind, Iowa does not have to use that score, but they need some good scores along the way here sometime.
He has scored as high as 9.65 on this event, so he has it in him. And the fact that he's so tall is very impressive. He can really swing some of these complex pirouetting actions. Beautiful. It's a release move. Nice. It's a very cleverly constructed exercise. They need a big landing here. Oh, yeah.
Iowa fans come alive for the routine of Travis Rosen.
He showed some interesting combinations of pirouette moves. This release move, what they call a reverse hecht back over the bar, was clean and precise. Boy, it's a big, long, swinging, flowing movement that's very impressive to the judges.
Well, here in Iowa, California is starting to put the pressure on the Sooners and the Hawkeyes. We'll have more right after this. Welcome back to Carver Hawkeye Arena. Chris Marlowe and Bart Connor. On the vault, Oleg Kosiak from Kiev, Ukraine. Solid in the West Regional. He won the vault. second on the rings, third on the floor, fourth in the high bar, an all-around performer.
And as good as the other Cal performers have been, wait till you see this. This is the most difficult vault you're going to see today. Oh, what a shock. He came up short. That's such a surprise. He's so solid on vaulting. I believe that's the first mistake we've seen from Cal over there. They were so strong. This is a complicated vault. Watch, he does a round off onto the board. He's going to go backwards onto the horse, but he didn't quite get the push off the horse that he normally does. Luckily, once again, you have 6 performers on each event. You count the best 4 scores, and they were outstanding, their first 5 performers. They missed getting a huge score from him there.
His career best at 9.8. He's way below that, 9.350. Casey Bryan, Oklahoma, parallel bars. Oklahoma with 3 national championships, the most recent one in 1991, and of course the Bart Connor years, 77 and 78. Those were dominating teams. Nobody could beat the Sooners then, Bart.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, but actually in 77 we tied identically with Indiana State.
I gave it to you.
Great event for Casey Bryan here. Nice combination outside. Watch his control. He's so smooth. He has a real good feel for the rhythm of gymnastics. He doesn't rush. That's what I like about this Oklahoma team. They're very well coached. They're precise. They're focusing on execution. They may not be doing as daring with routines as we're seeing from Cal, but they're doing very smartly constructed routines and nailing them. I like this combination. That's called a Healy twirl, and then a hop pirouette out to the one rail and a glide on the side. But notice how smoothly he swings. No interrupted rhythm.
Let's duck in some quick scores. Travis Rosen, a 9.6 for his high bar routine. Oleg Koziak, his score changed to a 9.3 on the vault. As we await the score of Casey Bryan. 9.675. Let's go back over to the high bar. Here's the senior captain, Peter Masucci. How would you evaluate the scoring so far in the competition? Accurate?
I think it's very accurate. Masucci, we saw him perform on the rings earlier, right as we opened the show. The reason we saw him on the rings is because, uh-oh, he's in trouble. They were playing a little strategy, and it looks like it backfired on him. Masucci can be spectacular on this event.
Whoa.
But boy, he was close to missing that. This is where Iowa struggled in the preliminaries, and they have struggled over here as well. Now, as I mentioned, the strategy. Masucci performed on the rings. You can have as many as 12 gymnasts, but no more than 12 gymnasts on your team. So in order to get him on the high bar, they had to have him seen earlier in the still rings in place of somebody else who would have put them to the maximum 13. You get it?
More complicated than baseball.
Here's the release. This is the reverse hack, very high and nicely done. Combination into the flyaway with a half turn. That's a great combination. Earns him a little bonus.
All right, come on, guys, let's go.
I tell you, he pulled it together after a shaky start.
He did, but they're going to need to step it up on the final 2 events if they hope to chase Cal.
All right, we'll give you his score when we come back. More of the 1997 men's gymnastics team final after this. Let's catch you up. Iowa's Peter Masucci received a 9.25 for his high bar routine. The Nike standings after 4 rotations, Cal and Oklahoma neck and neck, starting to distance themselves from the Iowa Hawkeyes. However, the Hawkeyes coming into their best event the vault. Let's pick up Iowa's Tyler Vogt. Remember, Vogt had a very disappointing high bar routine just minutes ago.
See if he can get it back together here on the vault. Oh, he's just having a rough meet. Now, they as a team have done quite well coming into his performance, but unfortunately, he was short of rotation. He did a very difficult vault. This is a very complicated vault and a very difficult landing. Probably 3 to 4/10 of point deduction on that landing.
Barry Weiner, the head man at Cal in his 6th year, very creative, very innovative, looking for his first NCAA title. And it is within reach now as Cal moving to its 2 best events, Bart.
So impressed with his coaching philosophy. He has his gymnasts doing routines in many cases that have more than the level of difficulty that is the minimum. He's reaching much beyond that. And as you see here, Cal is ranked number 1 and first on parallel bars and high bar in the nation. So they're coming into their 2 best events.
Tyler Vogt, a 9.35 on his vault. And now Barry Weiner is going to send out Oleg Koziak.
Interesting story about Koziak. He taught himself English, and one of the teammates at Cal had been over there on an exchange program, Josh Landau, and he met this young man and invited him to come to Cal. And he said, well, he'd always wanted to come and study in the United States. So he taught himself English, and now he's on scholarship at Cal Berkeley. How great is that?
According to his career best, this is his weakest event, but he's so strong in the other events that it's really not a vulnerable spot.
Not a bad set.
You know, if he's your weak link in this event, your team's looking very, very strong.
The dismount is a pike double back somersault. Pretty clean form. But as a whole, you see that score flasher behind him, 9.75. That's the kind of scores we're seeing from this entire team. They're so deep and they're so talented that they can even afford little mistakes, and yet they're still the favorite.
Let's go over to the high bar. Oklahoma's Jeremy Killen up now. Iowa fading a bit. Oklahoma trying to stay within reach. Here's a key performer.
Jeremy is terrific on this event. He has a very fluid swing. Nice combination right at the beginning there. Beautiful sequence. Now, as a whole, Oklahoma doesn't have as difficult of routines as you see from Cal, or we will see from Cal in the next rotation. But they've been very solid. Oh, yeah.
His feet kind of landed under the top mat. Kind of hard to tell if he stuck the landing or took a little hop.
One of his trademarks is precise technique. This is just beautiful. Excellent lift off of the bar and a clean landing, perfect form in the air. That's Jeremy Killen. That's his style.
Oleg Koziak got a career best 9.7 for his routine on the parallel bars, and we'll have Killen's score when we return. More of the 1997 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championships coming up. On tape just moments ago, David Cruz, the 5'9" senior from Lompoc, California.
He really has a very creative routine. I like that mount. And this is a perfect example of the style of routines we're seeing from Cal. Unique combinations, not your standard typical ways of getting bonus points, but they look for new and unusual sequences like that there. It's not terribly difficult, but it's unique and it's original. And of course, they are executing today. He's been a real emotional leader for that team. As you see, 9.775, and he's really driving the intensity of their focus.
Plans to attend medical school after graduation. Jeremy Killen received a 9.625. We'll duck that score in, and here comes Trent Wells.
This is going to be a treat. This young man came up with a move that had never been done before. They call it the Wells Freak. And you're going to see, because it looks pretty freaky, I guess that's why they came up with the name. It has an unusual stress on his shoulders that when you take a look at what he's going to do, you're going to cringe.
He was 4th a year ago at the NCAAs on parallel bars because he stumbled on his dismount.
He has scored a perfect 10 this year in collegiate competition on this event and on the high bar. The move that he's going to do comes up in the middle of the routine. It's from one of these giant swinging elements. Here we go. Over the top, and then another giant up to support. Unusual combination and a totally original move.
Trent Wells. A first-hand look at the Wells Freak, his original move.
He does a giant swing, and he hangs on to the bar and inlocates his shoulders.
Ouch.
And then hops back over and finishes. Look at the strain on the shoulder joints as he swings back up to support. I'm sure every orthopedic doctor watching is thinking, well, he'll be in the office soon.
9.85 for Trent Wells. Let's go back to the high bar. Casey Bryan from Oklahoma. Bryan won the high bar competition at the recently concluded NCAA West Regionals. Also won the all-around. Looking to pop a big one here.
Well, he's very aggressive with his swing here. Watch this combination. Stalder and hop to these inverted giants. Nicely done. Earns bonus points from the judges for that combination. Huge release move. Very smooth. Once again, his rhythm is so impressive. He can go for hard moves, and yet he's always in control. Here's the landing.
Oh!
Wow. Great event for Oklahoma on the high bar today. This release move is huge. It's the reverse hack. His feet are together and his body's in a perfectly straight position. Perfect timing. Great focus on the landing. Doesn't allow his feet to move. That's a perfect stick.
So the senior, Casey Bryan, looking for his score. 9.80 for Casey Bryan. We're going to continue more from the Carver Hawkeye Arena. Cal and Oklahoma battling now. Stay with us. Getting set for the final rotation. Barring catastrophe, Cal is set to win its first NCAA title. Oklahoma is in a battle with Iowa for second and third. Let's go over to the high bar. Cal's Oleg Kosiak.
Of course, you mean their first NCAA title under Barry Weiner. They won a title back in 1975 when Dr. Hal Fry, Maswatanabe were running that program. And I'm sure they're very proud to see the Cal Bears doing so well today. At this point, I think they can just relax and let their routines fly. We've seen how impressive they are, what a deep team they are. With a lead of about a point, they can just coast these routines and sell them as well as they can. Not worry too much about the pressure of competition, more just like enjoy the moment. His toe point is so clean and so precise. Nice technique in the air. That's a full twisting double laid out somersault.
Barry Weiner starting to feel it, the Cal coach. Let's go over to the vault. Oklahoma's Andy Howard.
Andy's really a vault and floor specialist for OU. Little shaky on floor earlier today, had only a 9.6. He has turned in scores as high as 9.8 and 9.85 before. Wow, nice landing. Little sloppy in the air with the form, but he rocked that landing. It's a difficult vault to get it around, keep your body straight. It wasn't terribly high, but he had just enough rotation to pull it around. Had to break form to bring the rotation over, but he did plant the landing. That's going to count.
While we wait for the score, we can tell you that Oleg Kosiak received a 9.8 for his high bar routine. So California continues to roll. Andy Howard 9.65 as Oklahoma tries to remain in front of Iowa.
Come on, Ron.
A little bit earlier, Gawin Sincharan for Cal.
Come on, Ronnie.
Here he is on tape. Watch this routine.
This is another good example of the style and the finesse and the originality that you see from the Cal gymnasts. He just lets this routine fly. High release move. Look at this combination on one arm, twisting pirouette. Another full twisting pirouette right into that straddle circle, what they call an endo. And a gorgeous dismount in a double laid out position. What finesse, what style they have.
He got a 9.675 for his effort. Cal so deep this year. Everybody said Cal was a good team last year, but with the addition of the two Ukrainians, unbelievable depth. Let's come back live to the high bar, and here is Yevgeny Zherevchevsky, 5'6" junior, the economics major now at California. He has a career best of 9.90.
Great combination, pirouetting skills into what they call an inverted giant. That's a requirement. Watch this release, it's big. Very aggressive giant swing. See how fast he swings. That allows him to crank.
Whoa! Whoa! Making up for a very poor performance at the NCAA West Regional when he had an 8.9, but
look at the technique he uses on this dismount. He really pikes and arches his body to create this whipping action.
Heidi-ho, we've got the gold.
Barry Weiner is loving this team, and he's loving the way they're selling their routines.
9.875 for Yevgeny Zherevchevsky. Let's now go back to the vault. Oklahoma's Jeremy Killen.
This is also a spectacular event for Jeremy. We saw him earlier on the floor with a huge score. He's also quite powerful here on the vault. Look at the distance he travels from the horse. I mentioned his floor performance because many times gymnasts who are good on floor are also good on vault. He's a great all-around gymnast, but boy, on floor and vault, he is one of the best in the world.
Even we're in alignment that time, man.
It's important that he travels a good distance from the horse. And boy, does he get out there. Nobody went that far today. Nicely done. The judges look for things like height and distance from the horse. You need to be in line with the horse.
9.775 for Jeremy Killen. Let's go over to the parallel bars. Iowa's Todd Strata.
We saw a spectacular pommel horse routine from Todd earlier. He can also deliver a big score here on parallel bars. 9.725 is his high. Oh, little shaky. He kept it moving. Good cover. I think at this point, Iowa knows they're not going to win the championship today. This combination here, he's going to hop pirouette out to the outside rail, and he needed to catch that closer to the handstand, but he kept it moving very nicely. Obviously, a lot of the energy has been taken out of their performance because on the other side of the gym, Cal is delivering one of the meets of their championship, and so Iowa realizes that all the attention's focused to the other side of the building right
Still,
now.
Iowa can get no worse than third, which is their best NCAA finish ever. California dominating here in Iowa. We'll be back. Barry Wiener, a big smile on his face. He has two competitors left in the high bar. They're both very gifted. David Cruz, the senior. This is his best event. Had 3 9.9s last year.
Watch how aggressive he is on all of these combinations. Look at the release.
Whoa! Maybe a little too pumped up, trying to do something a little extra.
Well, he's usually very consistent on this move. This is big, I tell you. Toe on, reverse hack way up over the bar. But he knew right away that he had pitched it too far back. He loses a half a point, but of course Cal has such a commanding lead now, they can even afford a couple of mistakes. Oh, here's another mistake. This is such a shock to see David Cruz coming apart here. He's had one of the greatest meets of his life. Perhaps the fact that they know they're going to deliver the championship today took a little of the edge off.
Strata received a 9.525 for his routine on the parallel bars. Let's go back to David Cruz. What went wrong here in your estimation?
Well, after the first mistake where he missed the release move, then he got into a series of in-bar elements where he ended up short of rotation. So he just cranked up his dismount here, which is very clean, and you can see how immensely talented he is. But he knew right away that that score won't be counting for Cal. And luckily, they don't need it at this point.
So David Cruz, a disappointing performance in one of his specialties, and perhaps a letdown after realizing that Cal is going to win the NCAA title. His boys say, hey, don't worry about it. We've got this one in the bag. And now we'll go to Casey Bryan. His vault coming up.
Casey Bryan, originally out of Salt Lake City. The very explosive vaulter. In addition to Greg Buick, the head coach, the other coaches at Oklahoma are Mark Williams and Jared Hanks. And they have coached him to a terrific performance on vault. There's head coach Greg Buick. Congratulations from Jared Hanks, former All-America, and Mark Williams, the assistant coach to the 1996 Olympic team.
Awesome,
The assistant coach at OU. 1.5 twisting, laid out position off the horse. He was short of rotation and a little low. It took that immense leg strength to keep himself from going in too deep and falling backward.
He fought it and got it, didn't he?
He fought it and got it. You'll see from this angle, he's a little low. Doesn't quite get the push he normally gets. And so that's why he's a little shorter rotation as well.
So Casey Bryan and Jeremy Killen have done everything they could for this Oklahoma team. 9.825 for Bryan, a 1-2 punch, but just not enough. Oklahoma just not quite the depth of Cal.
Yeah, Oklahoma had a terrific competition, but there's no question that Cal just outmatched them in terms of team depth and overall ability.
Here's Tyler Vogt from Iowa. He'll work the parallel bars.
A lot of people hoping he finishes up strong here. He had a rough competition. A couple of critical misses here. I think Iowa knew coming into this competition that they were going to have the meat of their lives in order to contend with Cal as well as Oklahoma. They're a very balanced team. They call themselves a no-name team. They don't have any really huge, big-name stars, but they're powerful and they are very solid.
All right. Tyler Vogt says thank you very much.
Good to see him finish up on a good performance there. I think Tom Dunn has to be really proud of his team. They were outmatched in terms of difficulty here, and they had a couple of mistakes, but I believe the results are going to come out as they should. Cal is the best team here, the most original, the most complete team here. Oklahoma is second. Iowa is third.
Let's continue with California. Here he is, Trent Wells, the final competitor for the Golden Bears.
This will be a treat to watch this young man. He has already scored this year a perfect 10 on this event. We know that Cal has already clinched the team championship, so he can just let it fly. Whether he gets a 10 or a 0, it doesn't matter at this point.
Tyler Vogt got a good score, a 9.7 for his P-bars routine.
Good for him. Watch these combinations. He's got some unusual pirouette sequences. Right there's one.
Bart,
Take a look at his toe point. Perfect execution.
You mentioned the 10. He got that at his last home meet.
Look at this. Out the back door on a full twist. There's another full twist out of the endo, right to the inverts. Outstanding.
The exclamation point on the NCAA title for Barry Weiner and Cal.
Barry got a hug there from the assistant coach, also Ukrainian, Oleg Ibiadulin, right there. Congratulations to that team, boy. One of the best teams I've seen in a long time in collegiate gymnastics. Creative, innovative, really stylish. And they took a lot of risks, a lot of unnecessary risks. They could have gone with safer routines, but in the interest of extending their talents, they really reached out. Boy, look at that precision.
Beautiful.
Technique.
The team reaction and the coach's reaction the same. 9.675 Trent Wells. So we're going to come back to the Carver Hawkeye Arena. The California Golden Bears have done it. The NCAA title is theirs.